Files in what ways? As in Khanyi's
Khanyi's
files.
files, yeah.
Rido, please drop the files.
She was there. She was there.
In the chat. We want to hear the files.
Hey, it's a chat. Rido, chat. Chat away.
Yeah, it's a chat. I mean, so she can drop the files. Rido, you've been given the right to drop the files, please.
Hey, Mbawambi.
Good. It's my time says it's actually past 6. So
yeah, man.
Can we get going, Manda?
Let's do it. Let's do it.
Good. So hi everybody. Nice for you to join us. Obviously looking forward to today. We have the lovely lady Khanyi in the house.
Yes.
Second time.
Yes.
Okay.
She's actually breaking the record, Dan. This is the first person to be featured on our webinar twice.
Yep. And we are so grateful that she actually could come and be excited to actually be part of the webinar. So looking forward to it. But now we're telling her story, man. We're telling her story.
Indeed.
Very excited about that.
Yeah.
Good. So to just kick it off, guys, my name is Dan. I'm a business executive coach. I love people development. I'm excited about people development. Actually, people and change is something I'm really passionate about. Driving it. But I'm really excited, hence get excited around the webinar.
Hi, everyone. My name is Manda. I'm a business consultant. You know, it just sounds like your title just sounds a lot more better, Dan. but
the business executive coach.
Yeah, it's like proper. It's got like gravitas, proper. You know. But the one thing that I do share in common with Dan is a passion for people development and personal growth. And certainly this is something that I enjoy doing and I enjoy learning from.
Good. All right. Into the housekeeping, it's a webinar, so it's going to be the three of us talking. But while we're talking, we want you guys to chat, put all your messages in the chat box. We want you guys to be able to ask as many questions as possible in the Q&A. We're also just looking forward to engaging you guys when the poll is up there. Please respond and participate in it. We will discuss it, talk to the points in the poll. Looking forward to actually having a very engaging session today.
Indeed. A couple of, just to continue on those housekeeping rules and just some upfront information is we also do have a Facebook page. Would encourage you to like it and share it. That's where we share some of the content that we have, some of the videos that we share leading up to Friday. We also are live on YouTube. So please, if you do have friends who want to join, or some of the people that you've invited are struggling to log on, just share that link with them. Lastly, we also don't derive any financial gain from this, but we are incredibly grateful to our sponsors, Biotechnologies Africa, who have provided this platform so that we can speak to our special guest.
Good. I see my sound.
Dan, your sound is not on, but maybe just to start with the introduction of our special guest. Oh, before that, shout out to Mandisa. Mandisa is the lady who does all the our posters, who make our guests look glam, you know. So shout out to her. She does it as a profession. So if you need those type of services, reach out to her. Mandisa, if you're on the line, please drop your contact details in the chat window. And also to thank Toa in the background. She's the one who's making sure that we're on time and all the technical. I see. Am I good?
I'm good. I hear you guys. Well, I hear you, Manda. I'm not done is a bit.
Okay. So to maybe start it off, our guest, Khanyi Mdhluli, is somebody, like I said last week, I've known for probably over 20 something years, right? So, you know, I just feel extra old saying that, right? Somebody that I went to school with. I always remember Khanyi as somebody. The best way to describe it is a person who had this silent confidence about her. She was always an overachiever, and something that I shared with Dan over the during the prep was, you know, Khanyi actually was an athlete, and I'm not talking about just participating. She was like winning awards, you know, gaining medals at provincial competitions. But certainly her journey is something that we can really learn something from. Dan.
Yes, can you hear me? Does it sound better?
We can hear you. Let's keep on working on the sound, but I've just done Khanyi's introduction. Any special introductory comments about Khanyi?
I think I always like talking to kind of the impact people made in my life, and I wanted to just highlight that at the time when I kind of sort of met Khanyi, right? I was in my organization, consultancy thing by myself. Literally, I was like a lone ranger. I'm trying to really get to understand what this whole management consultancy thing is. And then Khanyi and team came at the time, and it just felt like I had a family. And I wanted to just let to know that the real family around kind of my journey going forward, said with her and the group of co-hosts. I think it was 20. So
all right.
That's my introduction. And she made a big impact. Since then, we've actually been friends and colleagues. We then work together outside corporate on different initiatives.
All right, Dan. The sound is still not good, but nonetheless, let's continue with the proceedings. We'll just work on it in the background, and maybe to just start off, Madam Khanyi, welcome to Ordinary Extraordinary webinar. How are you feeling today?
Oh my goodness, I am so privileged. Thank you for the invite. Thank you for this honor. I am excited. I feel strongly about sharing all the lessons that I possibly can so that not everyone's lessons have to be the hard ones. I am so excited to do this. So guys, let's get going. But thank you for the honor.
No, fantastic. So your career journey is an interesting one. You know, studying genetics, working management consulting, working in the health sector. Well, I don't know what Discovery is now, right? But it's anything. It's probably one of those companies that does everything. And to where you are, where did it all start?
So I'm going to start the journey halfway through my life. When I was in standard 9, I think they call it grade 11 now. And, you know, Mandaya, we are that old. And I was in my second last year of school, and we had to decide pretty much what we were going to do with the rest of our lives, which, you know, is a little bit crazy if you think about it. How do you know at 16 what you're going to do the rest of your life? But we went on a school tour to the universities of interest, and I remember walking into the Oppenheimer building at Wits University and seeing this massive double helix. For those of you who don't know, that's the DNA. It's a DNA model. So literally it's this intertwined structure in the middle of the Oppenheimer building. This thing was magnificent, and I was drawn to it. And I remember one of the tutors standing next to it explaining this is the genetic makeup. And this pretty much explains why you look the way you do. And I was immediately drawn to it. Firstly, because I look very different, for those of you who know me, from the rest of my family. in that I'm like maybe, I don't know, a couple of shades darker. And then secondly, it was fascinating because it was something I hadn't come across up until that point in my schooling career. So I was very excited to know what this is about, but also keen to actually sign up. So literally, that's how I got into genetics as an undergrad, and very quickly figured out why I look the way I do. And being a young one, but coming from a very strong African family, both my parents went to varsity, we don't give up. So we're going to finish this course, whether we are still interested in it or not. So we finished the course, and I realized during the studies that I actually don't have the personality for this kind of qualification. I'm a little bit too excited to engage. I want to meet people. I want to be around different personalities. I want, diverse backgrounds. I want to learn. I want to engage. And a lot of the time studying, we were in the lab, interacting mostly with other, people in the lab. And I felt like I needed more. So it already started feeling like this isn't for me. So that was my initial pivot. And I realized that with every pivot, it was always an intrinsic, it's a feeling. I get it inside. I spent a lot of time being self-aware and learning about what makes me happy, what gives me energy, what am I good at? But also, what do I want to do? Sometimes you're good at things and you don't want to do them. So that was the first pivot. So I went and studied in the business school. I spoke to my parents, who were very supportive. So I pivoted, followed the business administration route, did my undergrad as a postgraduate diploma at the business school.
So Khanyi, just to understand, so you then finished your genetics degree, you then went into business school.
That's right. That's absolutely right. And the interest was born out of a few contacts that I had spoken about who had done a similar pivot from a science background. And they couldn't stop raving about how you're exposed to a lot more than you would have been in a BSc degree. You're exposed to business, you spoke to economics, to human resources, to operations, all those things that we wouldn't have come across in our training, unless if you have a keenness or had a keenness for those kinds of topics. So it just made sense. I thought, this is actually what I want to do with my life. So I went to the business school. I had to write an entrance test, and I got in. I did that for a year. As part of that program, you have to do 2 months internship in a real world organization and learn and apply a lot of the learnings that you got from the classroom. So I then got hired as an intern for 2 months. Luckily, in those 2 months, I got made a full-time offer, and then started my consulting career in a strategic HR firm called Resolve. They're now part of Ernst & Young Advisory, but at the time it was a strategic HR consultancy. And I learned a great deal. I started as an intern. By the time I left, I was an associate director, looking for another pivot, which in this case, it was brought on by my general interest, having done strategic HR for that amount of time. In that time, I studied for my MBA. And one of the things that I had a natural affinity towards was operations management. I was good at it. I didn't think too hard about it. And I loved it. I had this lecturer at the time, Mike Pycroft, he's since passed on. He was phenomenal. And I was just so fascinated by the cycles, the product development, the process engineering, which I'd done some of in my HR consulting days. And then a recruiter and a very good friend now, Theo Smith, came and said, listen, McKinsey is looking. They're looking for people to do some exciting operational implementation work. Are you keen? I said, of course. McKinsey, this is McKinsey. Of course I'm keen. I'm not sure if I'm ready, but hey, let's go. But going in, I was very deliberate. I was very like I knew why I'm going to McKinsey. I needed a toolkit. And everybody knows about the McKinsey toolkit. The business schools will drum it into you. So you walk out of it knowing why you want to go into whatever your next move is. So it was a very deliberate move to leave Resolve and go into McKinsey and to do operational work, because it was a nice pivot from strategic HR into operational work, but leveraging my HR skills. And
And Khanyi, maybe just to for the sake of those who don't know about the toolkit, what is this toolkit about, and why did you want access to it?
So there are so many things that are so McKinsey, right? Firstly is all of these frameworks and tools that are out there in the marketplace that are branded McKinsey because they were designed and are implemented and are renowned as McKinsey tools, which allow for you to be more effective in how you either process or how you strategize or how you execute projects or initiatives within your organizations. The consulting toolkit is you learn a particular way of thinking, of problem solving, of interacting, of engaging, of executing projects. Like, for example, you have a day one answer and a week one answer for any problem that you're trying to solve. Now imagine going into an environment with a day one answer that's a hypothesis that you're gonna now need to prove or disprove in the first 7 days. Guys, it's like nothing you've ever experienced before, but it is exhilarating, it is thrilling. It is absolutely one of those things you can't get anywhere else. So that in a nutshell is what the toolkit was, the way of engaging with the world, of solving problems and bringing real world solutions to organizations in a very fast-paced, fast turnaround, high-performing environment.
Khanyi, me and Anonymous are interested to know what the awards are at the back there. All those awards.
Okay. These are things that are very close to my heart. They're not my qualifications, although I have a few. That's not what's up there. The first two, my brother is a world-renowned DJ and music producer. His name is Floyd Levine. Those are his first two LPs. Behind me here, you can't see properly, is my advanced high-performing course from BMW. So I'm an advanced driver from BMW. And a little bit.
I thought this could... Go for it.
Okay, and then the last one is Ngatuto Edge Propeller. I was a judge. I've been with them since the inception, and I continue to support them. And these are things that are very, very, very close to my heart.
Good. Go back to McKinsey. So, me and Anonymous were like, what is that behind you?
Now that is out of the way.
Good. So toolkit, what's going on? So you're in McKinsey, then what?
Right. So, we even count months at McKinsey. So I was at McKinsey for 2.4 years. Nice.
Okay.
So every month counts, okay? At McKinsey, I spent a lot of time with really phenomenal people at the top of their game, highly intelligent, driven, beyond, I think, what I've seen in a lot of places. There's almost a unity around them in trying to make the world better. At the same time, it requires you to be at your best every day. And that takes its toll if you're not psychologically prepared for it, So I spent that time there learning as much as I possibly could, but also strengthening, now that I've left and I reflect back on it, strengthening my own resolve and my own convictions about what it is I want to do. What am I good at? And McKinsey will quickly show you what you're not good at, but at the same time, it'll also highlight your strengths because the feedback cycle is so regular. So I became a lot more self-assured on the things I knew I wanted to do and the things I liked to do in terms of highest point of contribution. But at the same time, it highlighted the things that I wanted, from a purpose perspective. So, for example, I used to be a recruitment coach. So when you're at McKinsey, after a period of time, you're allowed to look at new intakes and coach them, especially African candidates, to guide them, as preparation into their interview, because the interviews are they're quite intensive. So I loved it. I loved it so much, since I think that's where my coaching career was born. Although at the time I didn't know, but I logged it as something I liked doing and I want to do more of, because I'm good at it, but I enjoy doing it at the same time. And then my headhunter came knocking again.
And I guess it's the same headhunter, ne?
Yes, same guy.
It sounds like you were almost like these sports stars, like they have an agent who then goes around the market looking for the best deal for them.
Manda, you could not have described it any better. That is exactly what it is. And I think we all need that in our lives. If you don't have that already, you need someone looking out for you, knows you, is interested in your career, is a vested interest in your career, and is constantly in the marketplace scanning for opportunities that they know will best match your capability, because then it becomes sticky, right? You stay, and when you stay for the right reason, because they understood you know what you're about, and therefore the organization becomes a place that you love. Now, what I think is important to reflect on is that every turn, sponsorship was everything. I walked into every organization thinking about who is interested in what, how do I get myself involved, who's going to look for me and my career, how do I maximize on that relationship, but at the same time adding value. I think it's important when there's a mutual benefit, because most of the time we're either solving for ourselves or the organization is solving for what it needs to solve for. So when those two meet is a sweet spot for me, and that's critical in any career pivot. You'll know, for me, I knew it was I spent a lot of time introspecting and reflecting about what works and what doesn't work. What do I need to start? What do I need to stop? That sort of thing, what do I need to continue doing? So it is very much a deliberate decision around the next pivot. You'll know, instinctively we know we may choose to ignore it, but when the time is right, you will know. And if your North Star, which is where you're headed, is clear, you will know when it's time to pivot. Dan, you're on mute.
Two questions on that, right? The first one is, define a sponsor, and how does one get a sponsor? Okay, that's three questions because I thought that was one. And then probably the next one is, when you say for you, what were the telltale signs where you say, this is clear, I actually need to pivot? Because yes, we do understand you had an agent who was moving you to the best deal in the market, but I'm assuming it wasn't just about the best deal. There were certain things which would be like, this informed me to actually move. Because a lot of people get stuck, get insecure to take the step for unknown, for undetermined career path, and they'll rather be comfortable in where they are. What would you say to those people?
Okay, so I'll take each question in turn. A sponsor is someone who, for all intents and purposes, wants what is best for you in that particular part of your journey. And in a corporate environment, is somebody who's going to be looking out for your career and helping you navigate. Because, guys, there are rules we don't know about. There are unsaid, there are unspokens. Those things your sponsor will help you navigate. Just because you work hard, just because you're brilliant at what you do, and I'm sure all panelists in any webinar will tell you this about careers, it's not enough that you're good. It's not. You need to be having the right conversations with the right people. And that is typically what a sponsor will do. They will navigate and guide you, but also they'll open doors for you in relation to your career. How do you find them? Some organizations will, give you a sponsor. Most won't. So you need to spend time observing when you get there. Watch the dynamics, watch people. And I'm not saying stalk, but I'm saying pay attention. Pay attention to how things happen. I remember a very great mentor of mine said to me, Khanyi, learn the rules, play the game, and then play hard. right? So I'm saying spend the time to navigate and understand what is going on, who has what power, who doesn't, and so forth. And therefore start looking for sponsors in that regard. You can initiate the conversation, and most often you will have to if the organization doesn't provide with one. So that's the first question done.
Yeah.
What is a sponsor? In my opinion, that is what a sponsor is. Secondly, I think you asked me the question about how did you know? Yeah. So one of the things I am very purposeful or deliberate about, again, or intentional about, is listening to how I feel. So I literally pay attention to, you can call it energy. I pay attention to how I feel around certain things, around certain people, around certain things, activities, tasks, etc., environments. And I log that. It stays at the back of my mind always. And whenever it doesn't feel good, I immediately ask myself, why is my energy off? So if my energy is off, I need to think about it a little bit more. Take the time and reflect on it. And I'm a little bit of an extrovert, right? So I will talk about it. Dan knows this. I'll call him and gosh, this is what's going on. Help me unpack this. Other people are not so. Are not so much about the external environment and that influence. But for me, if I keep a log of how I'm feeling, I immediately know something's not right. That's the first thing. The second thing is I have you call it a lighthouse, you call it a North Star, you call it a vision board, call it a 5-year plan, 10-year plan, whatever it is. I have that for myself. I know where I wanted to be at what point in my career. So at 28, when I left Resolve and joined McKinsey, I was very clear about what's going to happen by 32. Now, those of you who have a faith base will know, like, God laughs at your plans. He's got his own plans. Point is, I have an idea of where I'm trying to get to. So immediately when things started feeling the way they were feeling, I'm always conscious of, is it the right time? And do I have the right skill set? How do I go about building that skill set? Is it going to serve me? Are these interactions helping me? So it sounds almost calculated, but it is deliberate. It has to be, otherwise other people will have plans for you. So I very much was clear about that move at all times. What I was very good about, and I'm encouraging people to be very good about this too, is don't leave on bad terms. Because I remember leaving, anxious as I was to go into McKinsey and having this conversation with my then boss. He said, you know what, you wanted this, go for it. If things don't work out, you can always come back. And that is critical for any move and any pivot, so that you are deliberate, but at the same time, you have a backup plan B, C, D, whatever, should things not work out. That means then you're spending every single moment of your life thinking about the next move.
And Khanyi, you mentioned that, I think two things I just want to focus on. You mentioned that you are very aware of how things make you feel and you log it. Did you write it down? I mean, what do you mean by logging? And a follow-up question to that is, you talk about your North Star and the direction that you're heading to. Have you always known? Is it something that maybe you've known since you were 16? Because it seems like if we go through with what you studied, it was very much on an interest that you had, and you quickly realized that interest has changed because you've gotten to know what you were seeking. But and I think the third one is, has that North Star changed as you have navigated your career journey?
Yeah, I have not always known what my North Star ultimately is. With time, it's gotten clear. Now I know exactly what my North Star is. As a young graduate, I never thought I'd be an entrepreneur, interestingly. I always thought I'd be a corporate climber. My pivot out of McKinsey, at that point, I'd been a consultant for about 14 years, into discovery was an awakening. There were things I didn't know about corporates. There were things I thoroughly loved and enjoyed. And there are things I just wasn't sure whether they were for me, you know? So in that regard, I was able to tune into that log, as you put it. And yes, I did. I call it a gratitude journal now, but at the time it was about what feels right and what doesn't feel right and what am I still grateful for, because I've had a really, really rewarding career. It was not perfect. It isn't perfect. I still make mistakes, guys. I still get knocked down weekly. You know, that's not what it's about. I get back up and I keep at it and I keep at it. And then the highs are amazing and the lows are earth-shattering, but all of it is still, it's part of this journey that I'm on. I'm about the purpose stuff and the stuff that, you know, this is why I'm here. This is why I'm on this planet. So the North Star becomes clearer every day. I know it's about purpose for me. I know it's about bringing people to their best version of themselves. And I know it's about bringing value to the people that are around me. And in the same way, it's mutually beneficial. They're also growing me and inspiring me and encouraging me as I travel this journey. So it wasn't always clear in a nutshell. I log how I feel so that it helps me navigate and review. You almost need to review annually, actually. At this time of the year, typically is when I review for next year. How am I doing? Because this year is done, right? 2020 or 2020 that wasn't is done.
I forgot about that 2020.
Hey, we forgot about those.
Yeah.
It's done. So right now I'm thinking about Q1 next year. What am I doing next year? And then I reflect on my North Star, which is the vision board. And I whatever school of thought you come from, you need something you're aiming. You need a bullseye, guys. You all know you've hit it if you don't have it.
Good. Okay,
and
so
I think, look, one of our guests as well, Mamelo did talk about it, right? Is it's important to have that end destination, because that is one way you use to manage the journey that you are going through. And everyone, please put in your questions in the Q&A. I'm seeing that there's a question from an anonymous attendee, and they're asking about your two pivots, right? So moving from consulting to corporates, or moving from any of those consulting and corporate into entrepreneurship. What are some of the things that you would have loved to know, or some of the advice and tips that you can give to somebody who is considering that pivot?
Okay, so when I'll speak about my journey and then maybe some nuggets that I think are worth considering. So when I was ready to move, I knew probably 9 months before that I'm not at my ultimate destination. So I had to then I made the decision, lots of thought. It was difficult, but I knew this is what I'm going to do. Now, how do I align the stars? How do I put things in place to ensure that that is a transition that is manageable? And what I started doing is speaking to people about this next move and how I'm going to go about it and some of the thoughts that I'm having. And that's something I can't stress enough. You need to talk about your vision, because you never know who's going to connect you to the right people. And we shy away from doing that for whatever reason. And I think people, you know, instinctively feel like they're not supposed to share these things. You know, people might have bad intentions, and they might, but there might be that one person who has great intentions and changes absolutely everything around. So, and that for me was someone I'd worked with in my Resolve days. And she's like, I've got a project management role for you. We're trying to achieve the following. It was a not-for-profit, and I have a 6-month contract, maybe 8 months, and that's what I can commit to, but it will buy you freedom. You can work 3 days a week, balance of it, you can do, you know, what you need to in building your own dreams. So, And that was only because I spoke about it. And so between that and my shares vesting, and having lots and lots of conversations about how do I get into construction, which is, I had renovated my own house. This is how my construction business was born. I renovated my own house in the middle of my McKinsey days, finishing MBA dissertation, project managing, on different sites. And I'm there trying to renovate a house. I loved it. I was in the eye of the storm every day, but I loved every moment of it. And those of you who renovated or built a house will know you either love it or hate it. I loved it. So I wanted to look for opportunities to do more of that. So the seed was planted even back then. But it took me about 3 years to actually make the move. And by the time I made the move, financially, I was secure. I had a little bit of runway, about 6 or so months. I got into a great role that enabled me for 8 months. I think I stayed with them for a year to have consistent revenue, which is absolutely important because it does run out and it does dry up. So have runway. When I knew that, my life belongs elsewhere, I should be doing something else, I was able to quite readily do that pivot and take on that new opportunity. And I cannot tell you I regret it. I loved every minute of it, guys, the highs, the lows, the manics, all of it. I still love it. It's a stressful but rewarding life to live. I can't think of anything else I'll be doing.
You've said quite a lot of things. You've just reminded me. So today I had a conversation with my mentor, and I think I didn't see myself. I went into this. I usually am very optimistic. You'll never really see. I think you've probably never hear a negative aspect. But somehow when I'm talking to my mentor, I guess I kind of sort of get into this thing where I think you're here for me to sort of complain. So I kind of complained about COVID, right? COVID, the impact it's been having on us entrepreneurs and stuff. And you know what he told me? I don't know why you're complaining. You should have just come and told us. There's a lot of people we know who can actually get you out of what you're doing.
Wow.
Get you where to are. You should have just told us. Like, why? I mean, there's just so many people, and you just raised something where you said you need to put it out there. It's like, no, man. Forget about COVID. Money is changing hands right now. I want to have a conversation with you where you are participating in how money is actually changing hands. I don't want you to talk about all the things which everyone else is gonna feel like an unfortunate event. This is not unfortunate. It happens. No one planned for it. So I was just saying that I think it kind of resonated when you actually say that, because it was actually something which actually happened today in the afternoon with me, where I was kind of slapped in the face to say, dude, it's actually your fault because you didn't tell anyone. No one knew. And if you keep it to yourself, we're gonna feel sorry for you, and that's about it. But if you want help, kind of put it out there. So I think to me, kind of that really comes out that actually, when you put your stuff out there, there's always somebody, as you said, who's looking forward for your success and is actually going to go out of the way. Because now I've been made to commit every week, Friday at lunch, can't even play my golf, I need to go and see him. Because it says we need to move away from this thing where you're just talking about the things which are not working, but to everything which is actually working. So just putting it out there for everyone else that, look, I mean, I think Khanyi couldn't have said it better. People need to know what your story is. That's the only way they'll know. You need to also ask. Today I was reminded, ask. Don't be shy to ask. Ask people. Not everyone is going to respond to it, but somebody can actually do something about it. Good.
Yeah, and Dan, on the back of that, right? I've just made 2 notes here, right? I think I just want to go back to the headhunter and the comment that we spoke about an agent, the agent model. But the one thing that I noted here is you need to find people who can sell you, right? And it sounds like your headhunter was selling you to the various potential employers. Maybe the question here is, how do you even find headhunters, right? I mean, there are lots of people right now who are trying to look for opportunities. And I think that, sure, we can set ourselves, we can put our vision and our story out there, and we can hope that somebody catches it. But if somebody right now was saying, look, I want to be a bit more exponential in exploring those options that I have, and I like this headhunter concept, how does somebody use a headhunter, or how can they even get to a headhunter?
Manda, I have the answer. They are talking to one right now.
There we go.
Better answer.
And that is the truth, right? You need to find out who are the ones out there that are, guys, I cannot stress this enough. If you know your North Star and your North Star belongs in management consulting, find out who the management consultant headhunters are and introduce yourself. Now, you also have to take some accountability here for yourself. You have to be freaking fabulous, right? You need to be knowing what you're about. You need to be doing the right things. You need to have this conviction, and because we all apologetic. You know, I find a lot of African people, especially, we're so apologetic. We don't talk about our amazing things that we're doing. So talk about it. And I'm sure we all have great achievements. So make yourself very attractive. Your LinkedIn profile must be the one I must click on and want to stalk you, you know, because you are doing these amazing, exciting things. But at the same time, reach out. I really believe that you should reach out. The really good headhunters they already have their finger on the pulse with most candidates. That being said, there's nothing stopping you from making yourself amazing and making yourself attractive. But that means you need to get yourself on the right projects. That means you need to get yourself excited about, adding value. That means you need to be putting your hand up, doing great things. That means, when there's a talent pool, you're on that talent pool. There's no rocket science to getting on a talent pool, guys. Do great work, so that sort of thing. And be present. Put yourself, in front of people. Take risks. The worst that could happen is you get knocked down. Guys, we all get knocked down on the daily. You get up and you continue.
Yeah, and you've spoken about something that really we've not focused on up to now in the webinar, and that is making your LinkedIn profile stand out. And we could maybe even spread it out to maybe just have a bit of a conversation around your social media presence. As a headhunter, and you are looking through LinkedIn, what are some of the things that you look out for about a standout profile or a standout candidate?
Okay, so firstly, your summary must tell me everything that's amazing about you. So make it impactful, make it short, make it sharp. And I need to see impact. So I need to see some of the stuff you've done and what the meaning is of those things, right? It's one thing that you led a team of 5 in a specific sector, but what did you achieve? As much as you can share without breaking confidence and breaking any of the policies that each organization will have around confidentiality. So that's the first thing I look for. Even when I connect with people, I'm very deliberate about who I connect with. I don't accept every invite that comes my way. But secondly, it also is about who are you connecting with? What are you commenting on? What are you saying? Is there anything there that is relevant or exciting or that could make organizations better than they are today? Now that people have LinkedIn profiles and their ghost profiles, you never hear them say a word. They just keep adding followers. That for me is it's like a, I don't want to talk about other platforms, but it's like a friendship platform. This is not what LinkedIn is about. I think it's an opportunity to professionally connect and add value. And even if you're just sharing other people's content and putting in your 2 cents, 5 cents, 1 rand's worth, it still makes it impactful. So I personally look for that, and I'm excited about that. But I also look at who are you connected with? Because it means people are being deliberate. People are being deliberate. need to see that you're being deliberate about your journey. You're not just on a platform for the sake of being on a platform. So there are people who have 0 likes. And for me, LinkedIn is not about likes. They have 0 likes on their content, but their stuff is powerful. You know, it's short, sharp, easy to read. It grows you. And even if it's got no comments and they've got 1,000 followers, it doesn't matter to me. Those are the kind of people I personally want to connect with. So I've made some really, in the past couple of months, I've made some, or connected with some really exciting young Black talent who are doing things. They're shaking the world. There's this lady who's a farmer, you know, and she's got a blog that's amazing, talking about entrepreneurship, the pitfalls, the connects you need to make, networking, all of that stuff. I'm keen on that. So I look out for all those things. It's not just, you happen to be on LinkedIn. You need a great profile, actually. You need to sit down and think about what you're writing and put the experience that is important. Sometimes people list their job profile from their previous job on LinkedIn. That's not enough. Show me impact. Write your profile like your CV.
Good. I want to bring you back to some topics, and we did discuss them during the kind of the brief. What role has a network, or your network, whatever you perceive as a network, has played in your pivot, and more specifically from corporate to entrepreneurship?
Okay, so I am my network is my net worth. I think we've all heard that phrase in some form or shape. Without the network, I wouldn't be where I am today. My first 2 pivots were through my recruitment network. My pivot into entrepreneurship was through my colleagues, so that network, the corporate network. The business I get today, to this day, it's all network. So it is absolutely important to have a network for everything, whether it's to connect you to, the next person who's going to get you to that door that's going to get opened. The whole concept of 6 degrees of separation, right? You're six people away from wherever it is you need to know. So I have got a network for my personal life. I've got a network for my professional life. Sometimes they merge, and sometimes I love bringing all those people together, because it's people I love spending time with, but they're also growing me and connecting me. And I do the same for them, by the way. Let's not ever forget, it must have mutual benefit. If it has no mutual benefit, it's lost. It gets lost in the system. Some people will not see the value. Let me tell you, when I went through probably the hardest time as an entrepreneur, my network is the reason I was able to survive, because those days will come. The early days are fantastic. Whew, guys, why was I not doing this before? Let's go get advanced driving courses, let's drive sports cars, all of that, pitfalls, have been through that. But the reason I was able to transition was I have an unofficial board of people who are in my network, who I trust, who sat me down and said, Khanyi, let's have a real talk. And to this day, we still check in. How are you doing? What's happening with this? Have you done that? Accountability partners, but also looking out for opportunities. And guess what? I am doing exactly the same thing for them. So your network is everything in this journey.
You said it's a 6 degree of separation. Today in my conversation, I was told in 1-2 calls, we can get you the person you want to talk to. So give us a list of whoever. Don't think about the ones who will come and waste your time, the decision makers. In a 1-2 calls, there's always somebody in your network who can get you that person.
Wow. And I see the questions are coming thick and fast. And the first one is from Harry. He says, did they say you are also an athlete? I guess the question is to you, so I'm not going to answer that. And Daryl makes a comment here. He says, look at your LinkedIn sales index, SSI, and work on making your profile marketable. LinkedIn /SSI. Daryl, please put more comments on that. maybe let's just look at those two comments, Khanyi.
Okay, cool. So I'm not quite sure what the SSI is, so I can't even speak to it. But I'm gonna go explore what it is now, because it's important for my coaching business, and where I focus on career, right? You know, helping people define what that looks like for them and finding the right opportunities for them. The next question about they say I'm an athlete. I'm no longer an athlete. I'm still fit, but I'm not an athlete at all. And
but maybe the comment to the question to explore is how did your experience, right, in becoming as an athlete help you in your career journey? Because I can imagine that there are some people who were fit and fabulous, or hopefully they're still fit, and how can they leverage those experiences into what they are wanting to do as they pivot?
Okay, so my mother was a phys ed lecturer growing up, and she, from a young age, guys, we were all active. We were encouraged to be active, but also we were encouraged to take part and take it seriously because she supported us. So we needed whatever we needed from a sports perspective. She was there, you know, she made sure we had it. And so we could participate. I think growing up, we had like the most amazing parents from a support perspective. They were always there. And for those of you that are parents, I think it is just something to just bear in mind when you support your kids, whatever journey they're on. I think it's an important thing for how they build their character as they travel this life thing. So what did I learn from athletics? Discipline. You have to practice. There's no off day. Can't be tired and today I don't feel like it. Whatever I'm feeling like, it has to be done. And that literally has stayed with me from that early age. Also, we grew up in and I'm okay to bring it up. I hope you guys are too. We grew up in the apartheid era. You know, I was at the end of it, but it was still like very much that transition that was happening, and there was adversity. You were the black kid on a sports field where no one wanted to stand next to you because you're black. So you build resilience, and that's one of those things that I know today that is I have conviction about. There's nothing you can tell me about if I'm good enough or I'm not good enough. I may doubt it, but over time I've gotten so comfortable with knowing that actually, I'm fabulous. I can do this. But you build a lot of that from having failed and tried and tried and tried and tried over and over and over until you get it right. So athletics taught me that discipline, that perseverance, that consistency is key, not relenting on the vision. We want to win. Can't relent on that. So you continuously are going to be trying and trying and trying until you get it right. And that stays with you for your entire life, I think.
Good. Let's go to the poll. I know we'll go to ask this kind of question, but I thought it was answered to a certain degree. So the most interesting thing on the poll here is question number 8. There's 35 people think they can take you on in a drag race. How do you feel about that?
Bring it on.
35% of the people say they can take you on the drag race.
Bring it on, guys. I'm an advanced, okay? Not just an advanced driver, an M4 advanced driver.
Hopefully they get the hint of the car in there. Good. If you look at it, right, it's very interesting. We've done a poll 3 times around people sharing the kind of, are they pursuing their passion? And consistently, it has actually come out very high that they're not. So I'm actually finding this one very interesting. Like question number 1 says, do you have a dream career? And actually 80% of the people say yes. And in the polls I've been doing, I've kind of sort of consolidated and even done a report where I'm saying, HR people, you need to figure out what people need to do, because purposeful purposeful work needs to come out. This is now contradicting that. So I'm thinking, did I just get it wrong? Or are people just excited because it's Khanyi? What's your comment on that? Because this looks pretty good. It looks pretty impressive that people are actually chasing their dream careers.
Well, I think there's also that selection component, right? People who would have joined this webinar would have either have interacted with me or have been thinking about career. But also you must be mindful that there are people who've been following these webinars who have gotten clearer as they engage, especially the return people. I find that there's probably going to be and the needle's going to shift there, right? That's one thing. The other is just because you know what it is doesn't mean you know how to go about getting it. So there's that work there is still required. I want to be a race car driver, but how am I going to get there is another whole journey that I need to travel. So
get yourself an M4.
Clarity is important, but in addition to knowing where you're going, I think there's steps you need to take.
Okay.
Like, do you know where you're going to get there?
Manda, you want to comment?
No, I think. Look, I'm just wary of time. I want us to look at the other two questions. Daryl made a comment. He put in the Q&A. I've put it in the chat. So please look at what the social selling index on LinkedIn says. It's really interesting that we are also learning some things from some of the participants. And also, guys, if we have impacted you in some way, please give us feedback through the survey. We often we started this journey with the desire to make an impact, and sometimes we think that impact will only happen in the future. But if it's happening now, that's great. Loaz's question is asking about the North Star, right? And I think that it could be a term which we think it's known out there, but what can you just expand what a North Star is?
So in simple terms, how North Star came about, it's a directional guide, right? If you think about it from a navigation perspective, the North Star tells you which way is north, and therefore you can assess whether you are east or south or west of that. That is in navigational terms, and it goes back very many centuries when there weren't navigators. In today's terms, how I've defined it, some people call it a lighthouse, some people call it a destination, some people call it a vision board, some people call it a 10-year plan, all of that. It is what you want for yourself as the future state. So if you know you've made it, what does that look like for you? Is it a purpose thing? I need to have impacted so many lives. Is it I need to have made so much money? Is it I need to have built so much, an asset base of this much, etc. And typically for me, it's got 4 pillars. There's the personal, the social, there's the financial, and the last one for me is around career. So those things, are you clear about what they look like when you've achieved them? What will it feel like? What will it smell like? What will it taste like? That is that North Star.
Good. Okay, we're obviously running out of time. I think the last question you can answer it with your closing statement, but the last comment, sorry, but I'll ask you the second last one is from Harry. He says, in construction, what is your experience with managing laborers, skilled and unskilled? As a professional of many years, do you find your experience managing professional useful in the managing laborers?
No, I don't find my professional skills useful. Let me tell you why. I come from a school of thought that says you give people room to do what they need to do. So I will come and say, this needs to be done, and then I'll walk away and expect it to be done. In construction, I find that people want you to, how do I put this nicely? Sit on them. So you need to say, this is what I need done, this is when I need it done by, and then you need to check in almost in a ridiculous amount of times. That many times you need to be checking in with them to see that they've done it, and they've done it properly, because it costs money when you've done it incorrectly. And revisions, no one's excited about revisions and they run away, especially subcontractors, and no one wants their pay docked because now the work needs to be redone, but that's got to be funded from somewhere. What I have found though is effective is in construction, you need to, so that whole team culture thing, that making sure everybody is aligned and everyone's pulling in the same direction, we all have the same North Star as an organization on a project, what have you, is important. Because if you lose people, they're the ones who are going to drag and slow down and cause, you know, either health or risk issues, or they're going to have, you know, delays, or it's going to cost more, what have you. All that stuff is important. So make sure that the team is cohesive, that the team's pulling in the right direction. But also be clear about your non-negotiables. You know, construction's renowned for bad, foul language. I don't use foul language, I don't shout, but I'm very clear when I'm unhappy. So it's just, for me, it's just as effective. So, you know, the professional stuff a little bit better than the field stuff. And then there's obviously, guys, this big thing, we can't hide from it. I'm the small Black woman. So I have to deal with all of that on a daily basis. Which takes time, and you know, I've gotten better at handling it, and I know, you know, I've got some tricks now.
No, indeed. Yeah, I think, look, we've come to the end. Thank you very much. I just wanted to make a comment. Rido was saying that you must mention that the high school, you must also mention the high school you went to. We were forced to run flat until we were over the line in athletics. It shaped our thinking and endurance. So I'm not gonna be like done pushing my school, but a big shout out to Capricorn High School out in Polokwane.
I agree, Rido. It actually, that endurance, right? There's nothing like it that you're ever gonna have to deal with that doesn't require endurance. You are on this journey that has an end date. We don't know when that end date is, and it's going to take absolutely everything you have to realize your dreams. And if you're not paying attention to how you're feeling, if you're not paying attention to the things that make you feel good, if you're not paying attention to the things you're grateful for, it's going to be difficult to have that endurance. It's easy to give up. So keep that journal. And guys, please hit me up on my LinkedIn page for any coaching requests. I'm happy to talk and chat with anyone. But that is absolutely everything, that endurance.
Khanyi, any last comments, recommendation, tips, resources you'd recommend to people?
Right. So the first one is, you now have this vision for your life. Make sure it covers, it's not quite McKinsey's MECE, but it covers everything that's important for you in your life, you know, whether it's academic, whether it's personal, whether it's, you know, relationship, what have you. Have a list of things that you want to achieve. Reflect on it. I would stress almost monthly, if not quarterly. And know what it is you're doing. The task you are doing every single day should be heading you in a particular direction. That's the first thing. Secondly, be clear about your non-negotiables. So we all move from job to job to job. Sometimes you don't know why. It's just it's the next thing. I have to, and so forth. I say, be clear about which organizations, and be clear about the things you're not prepared to put up with. And by that, I mean, have values that you uphold for yourself, that you can't go against. So your non-negotiables must be very clear. Thirdly, make sure every single task you are doing is adding up to something greater and bigger than what you have today. I'm big on failing forward. It's okay to fail. You are gonna fail. Fail forward, get up, continue, and do better. There's nothing more rewarding than seeing yourself achieving things, as small as they are, daily, weekly, monthly, it doesn't matter. Those small things are gonna add up to what, you know, that, what do they call them? They call them incremental, that 1% incremental change. That's it. That's all you need. One better than the day before. When you get to that place, you'll know every single day has added up to that end state. And lastly, I'm big on having fun while you do it, guys. Yeah, none of us get out alive, So have fun, enjoy it.
Good. Okay. Maybe just as a statement for you, we need to close out. Obviously, we've passed 5 minutes. They are asking, what headhunting do you do? So the people are interested in your services. So if you can just say 1 minute on that.
Okay, so there are 4 industries that I have a particular interest in: management consulting. I have an interest in construction, telecoms, financial services.
Good. Thank you very much, Khanyi, for your time, for your insight. It's always fun. We've worked and we've had a lot of fun the last 6, 7, 8, 9 years. And it's been enjoyable, including this talk. Sorry. Okay, hello?
I'm here.
Okay, no, I thought you were gonna make a comment. Okay, guys, next week we have Banencia. We have somebody we've never brought, or the skill we've never brought, where we've gotten a social media influencer to come and talk to us around career pivoting in that area. So please come and join us. It's gonna be fun again. Looking forward to next week. Cheers, guys.
Cheers.
All right. Cheers, everybody. Have a great weekend.
Bye.